All right, people, we have reached the part of the schedule where we have to talk about Missouri Tigers football. And while talking about Missouri Tigers football feels kind of interesting because we ain't done a whole hell of a lot of talking about Missouri Tigers football right here, I feel like the jumping off point is you. Because I get a lot of folks going, hey, RJ, are you worried about Missouri? Not normally. You know, it's Missouri. What have they won? Who have they beat? And they'd be like, hey, RJ, didn't they beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl just in January? It'd be like, yes and no. Okay? Did they beat Ohio State? Yes. Do y'all remember that was a close game? Because I do. Do you remember that Cody Schrader had to have a game of games and that Luther Burden had to be Luther Burden and that Brady Cook had to be Brady Cook? Because what I also remember is Devin Brown got hurt, Lincoln Keenholz wasn't that good, and Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't even there. Ohio State fans will hold a grudge about that loss because it was not really the team that had been Ohio State all the way through. That said, Missouri did win a New Year's Six bowl game, and we're not going to act as if they didn't. One of the reasons that people feel good about them is that win that they had against Ohio State. Now, where I kind of get into my feelings about the whole Missouri situation is I think that the reason people are picking Missouri to make the college football playoff this year doesn't have much to do with them beating Ohio State last year, or even that much to do with Luther Burden, who, by the way, is a monster in EA Sports College Football 25 Ultimate Team, along with Brady Cook, and they're going to be okay at tailback, right? They're going to miss Cody Schrader, but Marcus Carroll is that dude. Like, all you had to do was take a look at what he did at Georgia State. But it's their schedule. That's the reason we're talking about Missouri. That's the reason that people are talking about Missouri making the college football playoff as one of those teams that might be on the outs looking in, or at the very least get the benefit of the doubt from the college football playoff selection committee, because we know the SEC champions getting in. We know the Big 12 champions getting in. We know the ACC champions getting in. We know the Big 10 champions getting in, right? We know all of our Power 4 conference champions are getting in. After that, we think that most every team that makes that conference championship game will also get in, provided that they got one loss or fewer going into that game. It'd be great if everybody had an undefeated conference champion and everybody also had an undefeated opponent that entered that conference championship. But the thing about Missouri is they don't play nobody until October 5th. And I'm not going to act as if they do. However, we're going to rank them like a top 10 team because we don't expect them to be challenged. And they play in the SEC. They have pulled the softest schedule in the SEC as they don't have a road game until they go to Texas A&M on October 5th. And as good as Texas A&M might be, we do not expect Texas A&M to win the SEC championship any more than many people expect Oklahoma to win the SEC championship in 2024. They also get to play Oklahoma late in the year at Faurot Field, which I got to tell you, worked to their benefit as Oklahoma is going to be going through it. Now, aside from what I just told you, it's also that they got pretty decent, not just odds to make the national championship game. They got pretty decent odds to go 11 wins again, right? I think they went 11-2 last year. When I look at this program, I also see a team that doesn't really have to face anybody that we care about until late in the season. But Murray State ain't nobody, but that's SEC scheduling for you. And I'm looking at, you want to get blowout wins in these games if you're Missouri. That's the thing. You need your style points because we're all going to be dunking on you for your strength of schedule if you're undefeated. Now, you would also, and this is what I would do if I was a Mizzou fan, I would throw out Michigan as a really good indicator for what you're capable of doing. For the last 3 years, we had said Michigan doesn't play anybody in its non-conference schedule, and his Big Ten schedule wasn't all that tough. It didn't matter, right? They made the college football playoff. They won the Big Ten, and last year they won the national championship. The only thing you're going to have to overcome is you don't play Georgia, Texas, or Ole Miss during the regular season. Odds are you're probably going to have to play Georgia, Texas, or Ole Miss in an SEC championship game because we all think that those teams are going to be good, to say nothing of what LSU may or may not be doing in addition to Alabama. I think if you are thinking about Missouri this year the way you were thinking about, say, Alabama last year, I'm not going to hold that grudge against you. I am going to say Missouri does not have the kind of history that would lead us to believe that they're going to perform like Alabama has performed in the past. That is to say, an Alabama team that lost by 10 points to Texas last year at home also came back from the dead against an Auburn team that they never should have had to come back from the dead from, and then beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, and then damn near had Michigan dead to rights in the Rose Bowl. Now, they didn't, right? But that was also a team that was not Nick Saban's best. Offensively, it was certainly not their best. And as much as I really like to see Tommy Rees calling plays, it just wasn't working out until such time as they figured out what Jalen Milroe was good at, and that is taking off with the football, completing short passes, and throwing it deep down the field. Because if he had to throw medium football, or medium passes with the football, it wasn't going to end well. He's got a cannon for an arm. We just got to work on his accuracy. You shouldn't have any of those problems with Brady Cook coming back at quarterback. Again, you're going to miss Cody Schrader, but you're going to replace him with pretty good production. You don't need to have a home run hitter at tailback, though I think Marcus Carroll can do that. You can replace his production in the aggregate. And as much as we're talking about Luther Burden here, people forget that Theo Weiss is still there. And Theo Weiss is a hell of a wide receiver. Started at Oklahoma, ends up transferring to Missouri, and they got better. And Eli Drinkwitz walks around as if he knows something. And Missouri's name, image, and likeness collective has been so good that people are adopting how Missouri is doing business to translate to what they're doing. However, and I've said this and I will continue to say this, there has not been a new member SEC champion since they started playing the SEC championship game. That includes Missouri, A&M, South Carolina, Arkansas, and now recently Oklahoma and Texas. I think that you're right to put them in the college football playoff. I'm not sure about the seeding, but given what the schedule is, I think that if you're a Missouri Tigers fan, you are thinking, we're getting into the playoff at a minimum. Maybe you don't win the SEC championship. Maybe you don't even make the SEC championship game, although I'd venture to think with the schedule you should. You should be thinking, going into this, we are going to be one of the 12 teams in this thing. And if you can be one of the 12 teams in this thing, and you get to host a home game, there's no reason to believe that Missouri can't reach the heights that it has never seen before, or I should say, seen in the 21st century, right? You should feel good about that as a Tigers fan. So if you got your chest out and you want to keep your chest out, I'm not going to stop you. Not in August. I'm not. And frankly, I probably won't have anything nasty to say about you at all this year if you keep up your end, because the schedule's set up for you to go be great. So by all means, Missouri Tiger fans, go be great. But this might be your best opportunity to do that for a very long time if you don't get this right. You can't have no slip-ups against Florida. Okay? I know you won that game, but it didn't look good. Didn't look great. You're going to need Corey Batoon to come out and do what Blake Baker did on that defensive side of the ball. You're going to have to take care of the football. You're going to have to win these games by margins of victory that we believe a team of your caliber should beat teams by. Like, you can't win against, say, Murray State 21-10 and have us not look at you and give you some side eye. Okay? You should walk into Texas A&M undefeated. That's the first phase. After that, take care of your business, and we will see you in December.